Hi everybody, Levi Clay here, and I am back again to update you on the shit show that is Arch Enemy, and more specifically Angela Gossow, their old singer and now current manager's utter complete fail and meltdown on social media as she not only doubles, triples, quadruples down. This motherfucker has dug herself such a deep hole that she's almost in fucking China. So, let's deal with it. Now, when I filmed the last video, which obviously you can check out on my channel, right as soon as I had finished filming it and editing it, it seems that Marta, the clothing designer, actually did issue a public apology and also donated the €100 to cancer charity. So that's absolutely fantastic, and really that's what should have happened in the first place. Like, it's not a question of copyright infringement. It was copyright infringement. Whether or not it happened for malicious reasons, I don't believe it did. I don't believe that it was maliciously stolen. I don't think she took the photo with the intention of it being commercial, but you could absolutely make a clear argument that it was being used commercially, so the photographer did have a right to go down the route that he went down. The problem seemed to be in Angela from Arch Enemy. So, how should we go about doing this? I tell you what, why don't we read Angela's statement that she posted on Facebook today? Then we are going to, well, you know what, I'm going to pull it apart as I read it, of course, because, I mean, it won't be hard. And then I'm actually going to read Jay Salmeron's response. He actually responded. Now, that's the photographer in question. So let's take a look at this utter portrayal of being a victim when you are the scumbag in a scenario, shall we? So, Angela Gossow, dear whoever is interested in the subject, which is sad, really, because I think it's probably more people than are interested in the upcoming Arch Enemy covers album. Covers. Playing music that other people wrote. I bet you went to the effort of licensing it though, didn't you? So, I am reacting to the bully rally this photographer has set loose with his well-crafted, brackets, he took 6 months to get it done and released, and well-timed mashup of different subjects at hand. Cool. The details often get lost in the emotion of the narrative, and the narrative is often controlled by he who presents the story first. My photographer threw a bunch of different things into one pot and highly emotionalised it. Let's differentiate. So I think it's worth dealing with that there, right? To a degree, there is truth to that. When you are the first person to come forward with a story, you do get to have a sense of controlling how people are perceiving the situation. But that only really works in a he said, she said case scenario, right? That doesn't really apply when evidence is presented. If you came forward with, oh, this person said this thing, it doesn't matter that you came first. If the other person then comes in and said, I didn't say that at all. In fact, here's a recording of our conversation. Here, listen to what I said. That original person isn't controlling the narrative. The person that is in control of the narrative is the person that's presenting evidence and facts. Something, Angela, that at this stage you have still refused to do because you lied in your previous statement. You tried to lie, and you do it again here. And I don't know if it's deliberate or I don't know if it's out of sheer fucking incompetence. But the fact of the matter is, you lied, and that's why people are calling you. Because you have created this situation for yourself. You have created this situation for the poor woman that designs clothes. You have fucked all this up. But we'll go into that, shall we? Anyway, so fact one, copyright issue. Arch Enemy did not post any of his pictures. No breach of copyright there. You know what? You're right. Sorry, point out where it was alleged that you did do that. It was never alleged. It's never been part of the complaint. You don't get to build up a straw man like this. Look at this. Arch Enemy never did these things. He's claiming that Arch Enemy posted these photos, but we can demonstrate that we didn't, so let's just knock that over. It doesn't work like that. That's never been made. That case has never been made. No one has ever said that Arch Enemy stole photos. If anything, you'd look at the situation and go, this has nothing to do with Arch Enemy, so why the fuck are you jumping in with your size 10s? So Arch Enemy did not post any of his pictures, no breach of copyright there. Alyssa only re-tagged his image and got written permission of said photographer and actually got asked to repost after she fearfully removed said photo. She refrained from doing so. Conclusion, zero involvement from the band or Alyssa in any of the addressed matters. Leave Arch Enemy and Alyssa out of it. I mean, I see what you're saying. Arch Enemy, the band, should have nothing to do with this situation, because it's not Arch Enemy, is it? It's you. It's you, you fucking clown. It's you for being such a goon about this entire situation, for being so stupid. You have fucked this up. I keep saying it because it is true. You're right. Nothing to do with Arch Enemy. But as it currently stands, you have a long-running history with the band, being the band's best singer, and you have history or current present action with the band in being their manager and kicking shit everywhere when you feel like it. We'll deal with that in a second, shall we? Yeah, so you're right on that. Now, she goes on to talk about fundable clothing. Fundable Clothes, or Marta, the lady that reposted the picture and said, "Thank you for wearing my custom-made outfit," along with it, copyright breach, as this can be interpreted as commercial use. Cool, so you've acknowledged that. Not, now, is that intentionally? There's a lot of spelling and grammar issues here. Because she wasn't aware of that fine line. A lot of people on the internet are not actually. Anything that you repost is a breach of copyright, actually. She removed as well immediately. No. Okay. Again, I've done this in the last video. It doesn't matter that nobody understands the law. The law is the law. Simple as that. If you get caught with your hand in the pot, it doesn't matter that everybody else has had their hand in the pot that day. You got caught doing it. And in this particular issue, you're talking about someone's personal rights. The photographer has the right to allow whoever he wants to use the photography, and he can stop whoever else he doesn't want using the photography. I'll give you a prime example of that, shall I? If, for some reason, Donald Trump decided that he was going to use Arch Enemy's music, imagine his campaign was, he was going on We Will Rise, and he was using the music video for We Will Rise, and there you are, Angela, fucking in that video, not wearing many clothes, doing your thing. You know, fantastic song, fantastic video, big part of my childhood. But imagine that was happening. You would have the right to take issue with that. You would have the right to say, I don't want this to be the case. Meanwhile, if somebody, because you're clearly a very political person, if a political candidate that you did align yourself with decided to do the same thing, you might go, you know, it doesn't just mean nobody's allowed to do it. So yeah, cool, doesn't matter. And she didn't immediately remove it, did she? First, she contacted Alyssa, and Alyssa said, or Alyssa probably said, I'll speak to Angela, you know, don't worry, we'll deal with it. That was the mistake. It wasn't immediately removed. Wasn't immediately removed at all. Took time, didn't it? Might have only been a couple of hours, but it wasn't immediately removed. That's important, because it's a misrepresentation or it's a lie. One of those two things. She removed as well immediately. She did not react to the donation request because she was not sure if it's a scam. Donating to a cancer charity fund is not going to buy her the rights to use the photo commercially. Yes, it will. Yes, it will. Of course it will. You can give away your rights to publish a photo. I could give you a license to use Hellcat Molly's music, my music. Check it out in the links below. I could give you the rights for that, for absolutely anything. Absolutely anything. It could be a paintbrush. I don't know why I do. I've got a paintbrush here. You know, you give me a paintbrush and I say, cool, you know what, in exchange for that, you can have a license to use my music. You don't need to pay money in order to exchange those rights. You can just give it to someone as a goodwill gesture. As long as there is some sort of written evidence to say that you have been given the right to do that, irrelevant, right? The deal is in place. Just a handshake is enough. So to say that that wouldn't have covered her is absolute nonsense. But you know what? This is really interesting because you're making it very clear now that she did not react to the donation. So you even begin by talking about the donation. Now, on many occasions, you have tried to suggest that she was being extorted, that money was being demanded of her, and you kept talking about 500 euros. But again, everybody has seen these email conversations, and it wasn't 500 euros that was being asked for himself. It was being asked to 100 euros to a charity. Why jump in so quickly and kick all the doors down and make such a fuss and sling your shit everywhere when you could actually deal with the matter at hand? This is going to cost you so much more than 100 euros. Cool. Only a paid invoice to said photographer would do. So why didn't he just invoice the 500 euros and went ahead and donated to said charity himself? That would have been a much more transparent way of dealing with things in every aspect. Again, misrepresenting, aren't you? You've used that 500 euros figure again, haven't you? It wasn't 500 euros. It was 100 euros, yeah? And because it wasn't about him taking the money and then him maybe donating the money. It was a goodwill gesture. Look, normally in situations like this, when people use my stuff without obtaining a license, I would bill them 500 euros. But in this instance, I'm choosing not to do that. I'm choosing to do the softly approach. You should fucking try it, Angela. I'm going to do the softly approach. And what I think would be best is actually maybe you could donate 100 euros to a charity and then everybody wins. You feel good. You've got a license to use the photo. It could have been great, actually. She could have actually used that to her advantage. Donate the 100 euros, then create a brilliant advertising campaign around this one photo of, what looked like great clothes. That would have worked, wouldn't it? Anyway, Angela goes on to say, the internet hate campaign has destroyed Marta's business. All existing customers have cancelled their orders and or returned their orders. She has received numerous death threats, accusations of being a Nazi and worse. She has closed the shop that she has built up for 8 years over this. Is mistake really that severe to justify this? No. Is it justified to destroy an artist over this? No. I mean, that's terrible. If that's happened to Marta's business, that's a real shame. Being called a Nazi, though, not really anything to be upset about. I've been called a Nazi many times, Stuff like that doesn't really matter. Anyone that in this situation is stupid enough to deal with Marta and throw shit and shade at Marta is missing the point. Because I don't think anyone in this situation really feels that Marta is the scumbag, Angela. They think you're the scumbag. You are absolutely the scumbag in this situation. You've already done it, right? Point one was, arch enemy, we've done nothing wrong. We've done nothing wrong. Point two is, Marta did something wrong, but does she deserve to lose her business over it? And as we're going to go on to point three, Angela Gossow management, I did nothing wrong. It's scummy, right? The best way to deal with this situation would be for Marta to look at what happened, get the email, go, consider it, and then go, right, maybe I'll just pay the 100 euros. Or if she wasn't happy with that, speak to someone that's a bit more of an expert in the situation. Unfortunately, she did that one. Unfortunately, she spoke to you. And unfortunately for her, you said, don't worry, I'll deal with it. Now, in situations like that, I actually blame the person giving the advice, not the person asking for the advice. I can hardly hold the person that asks for advice responsible for what happens, can I? Because she doesn't know any better. That's why she asked for advice. This is your fault. You didn't deal with this correctly, and now, unfortunately, she is paying the price for it. That's awful. You're paying the price for it too, though, right? Again, aren't you all standing there right now going, I wish I just donated 100 euros. It's 100 fucking euros. Cool. So Angela Gossow management. This is an unfortunate situation in a private business conversation that was never meant for public consumption. Unethical and contrary to the code of conduct for European lawyers. It was being abused in this campaign. I was doing my position in my efforts to aggressively represent and protect my client and her business partner. You don't represent anyone. You're not a lawyer. I'm sorry that this has been made public and the issues are now misconstrued. I am personally shocked by the fact that a business dispute turned into such a destructive wave of hate. And I think, we all agree on that. But don't be a hypocrite. Don't be a hypocrite at all. Because, yeah, sure, Jay Salmeron did actually go to the effort of creating this post and writing this fabulous article, again, linked below. And not doxing, but essentially posting communications that were intended for him, right? But the problem with that is you did the same to him. He sent you emails, and then you sent those out to industry contacts. You sent them to Century Media. You sent them to promoters, right? He never intended that, but you did it anyway. Why? Because you're a shitbag. So, at worst, you're both shitbags. At best, neither of you have done anything wrong. What needed to be done in a situation like this was you needed to be hung in the court of public opinion. And right now, Angela, you are at the gallows. Stop. Please stop. Just hold your hands up and say, you know what, I fucked up. The claim that I had him blacklisted with all agents, festivals, etc. is false. I did inform my circle of people that I do not want him in the arch enemy photo pit again. I did not ask any promoters, festivals, magazine or whoever to ban him. Mr. Photographer, give me one person who has removed you from the payroll because of me. Nobody, ? Thank you. Well, again, dealing with what I just said there, you You do that. You have done that. You did try and make life difficult for him. And here's where things are fun. I'm going to prove it. So, Anouk Timmerman, I believe. Anouk Timmerman. Do you remember that name, Angela? Anouk Timmerman is somebody that contacted you, in 2009. These emails are from 2009. Dear Sir and Madam, I would like to point to your attention in the mail point out the mail that I sent you yesterday. I did not grant you the right to use the photos and therefore have asked you to remove the photos from your website within 48 hours or asked permission via email to use the photos retrospectively. Maybe retroactively would be better there. If you do not concede to this request, I will send you an invoice. More than 24 hours have been passed. If the photos are still on angelagossow.com tomorrow evening, I will send an invoice for €75 per photo published, totaling 8 photos. I hope to hear from you soon. So you have a history of publishing photos, and this one is to your personal website. So you do this. This is what you do. So how do you think Angela dealt with this issue almost 10 years ago? Let's take a look. So Nina from Angela Gossow wrote back, hello, I'm sorry for any inconvenience. We have a girl who helps us out with the gallery, and although we told her not to upload any photos without the photographer's permission, she obviously did. Please let me know if you find any other photos which belong to you. That's from Nina. Anouk responded to Nina. I'm very sorry for the terribly late reply. I've had some bad news. Thank you for removing the photos, and it's good to hear that you usually ask for permission before publishing. I don't think other photos of mine have been placed, since this was the first time I ever shot Arch Enemy. Good luck with your website. That's actually quite kind, because, again, as we've learnt from this situation, the photos were used. You have acknowledged the photos were used, so it would be well within Anouk's rights to issue you with an invoice to license the photos when you use them. But cool. Issue closed, right? Issue closed. Nah, of course it's not. Word will have got back to Angela, won't it? Angela, some guy is saying we used his photos, and we did use them, but he doesn't want us to use them. Cool. Angela writes, hello, my webmiss has removed the pictures. I will personally make sure you will not be admissioned for a photo pass for further Arch Enemy gigs in the future. Nassin, please remove. Anouk Timmerman, and then gives the information of his website and his email from any guest list or photo pass request. Sincerely, Angela Gossow. So you do this, do you? This is what you do. He didn't do Anouk, to be fair, Anouk could be a man or a woman. The photographer in question didn't do anything wrong there. The photographer in question merely sought payment for the use of his creative work. And you have taken issue with that. Really, what you should have done was to look at that and say, oh, wow, I'm really sorry. I really did like the photos, though, and it would be great if we could use them. Maybe we could license them from you. Again, in the same way that you notice how in the background of this video there's no music playing, right? Because I get tired of putting my music over them. But what if I just decided, you know what, I actually love Dead Eyes See No Future or Nemesis, right? What if I just decided to put Arch Enemy's music in the background of this? What would happen? Yeah, you'd claim it, wouldn't you? You'd take the money that this video will generate. To be fair, you're welcome to the 50p. But the point is, that's how copyright works. You know this, and you've got a history of shitting on people like this. And from talking to other people, it's not the first time you've done it, and it won't be the last, will it? Unless you fucking learn. Let's finish your statement. So, why did I change words in my previous post? Well, I received a legal letter from the photographer asking me to, otherwise he would pursue me legally for my wordings. The same happened to Alyssa and Jeremy, who took his entire post down. So those going out on the fence defending us are being silenced. Freedom of speech question? No, I don't think so. I am sure I will have to edit some of this post as well, because I expect to receive a legal letter from him again within the next 24 hours, just saying. Now, I find this really funny, actually, really funny, because in that post you took issue with Donald Trump, and actually that was the part you removed, because evidently, you know, that's going to polarize your audience. There will be some of your audience that are Trump supporters, and there will be some that aren't. So by removing that, you make the post more suitable for your entire audience. That makes sense. It doesn't have anything to do with the photographer, right? But, yeah. Freedom of speech. If you're anti-Trump, kind of feel like that would make you anti-freedom of speech, but now you're disappointed that you don't have that freedom of speech. Freedom of speech is a very important concept. It's something that I stand up for. It's something that I will fight to the death for, because your right to say something is very important. Your right to share your ideas is very important. And people struggle with this freedom of speech concept. Freedom of speech doesn't mean a freedom to a platform. Freedom of speech doesn't mean that you have the freedom to speak and I have to listen to you. So if you want to say things to me on Twitter and I don't want to listen to you, I can mute you. I can block you. You can still say what you want to say, but I don't have to listen to you. You don't have a right to a platform. You don't get to come and post on my Facebook wall and abuse people on my friends list or whatever, and then cry that your freedom of speech is being restricted when I decide to delete your posts. That isn't me impinging on your freedom of speech. Your freedom of speech extends as far as you're impeaching other people's freedoms and rights. It's not a difficult concept. Who was it that said your freedoms to swing your arms end where my face begins? And that's absolutely the case here. You have freedom of speech. It's a wonderful thing. You can tell us why you think this photographer is a scumbag, just like I'm making this video explaining to people, not telling them why I think you're a scumbag, but just showing people how you are a scumbag. My freedom of speech, fine, because I'm sharing my opinion with people. I don't have the right to accuse you of a crime. I don't have the right to make up things about you, because that falls under defamation. Now, you don't get to go, but I should have freedom of speech. I should be able to say whatever I want. Unfortunately, if you were able to do that, that would mean that you would be able to defame people. And by doing that, you are standing on other people's rights. You're using your freedom of speech to take away the rights of other people, to take away the freedoms and the opportunities of other people. If I saw a person that I didn't like and I accused them of being a paedophile, and I went all over the internet and said, this person's a paedophile, don't do business with them, and people read that and took that on board, I would be harming that person's ability to do their business, their job, whatever it would happen to be. That would be infringing on their rights. So I shouldn't have the freedom to go out and say those things. That's why if I were to do something stupid like that, I would absolutely expect to be landed with a defamation suit, right? So don't complain about freedom of speech. You have freedom of speech, Angela. You can post whatever you like, okay? And I have the right to tell you why you're an idiot. That's cool. And if you want to respond to me and tell me why I'm an idiot, good luck. Then finally, she's gone on to say that she won't tolerate threats on this. Any person, family or friends, they will be removed and commenters will be pursued. But comments won't be disabled, so you're welcome to talk on here. So awesome. She's then also posted Marta's statement. I'm not even going to bother reading Marta's statement because, as I say, this issue isn't with Marta. The issue is with Angela. Now, just to close up, what I really want to do is I would like to read through oh, it's gone now. That's bad. I had this saved on my phone. Where is it? I would like to read through Jay Salmeron's response. Where is it? Just take me a second, guys. Love being prepared like this. There we go. And I have a feeling that, a lot of what I said is going to be confirmed here. So, dear Angela, thank you very much for your interest in replying to this message with yet another comment which simply demonstrates an absolute inability to answer things professionally. Point 1, time of publication. As I have explained repeatedly, due to personal health reasons, the story was pushed back. It doesn't take us 6 months to write anything. Point 2, regarding copyright. In your first email to me, you said, quote, Alyssa's sponsors and fan club are authorised to share photos of her. This was a false statement in regards to the copyright over the photo, and I explained to you as much. You replied by saying that we were banned from future concerts for sending such threatening correspondence. Again, that's a quote. He provides a lot of quotes. You don't tend to do that. And added a number of people, for example, from Century Media in the CC. You knew, or at least had to know, that saying that I was sending you threats, quote, would jeopardise much more than covering just your own concerts, but any concerts, since nobody would accredit someone who threatens artists. As for copyright, since our publication, we have received emails from other photographers, the authenticity of which we have verified, where you have taken similar actions against them, demanding they give you their copyright for exposure and banning them from archenemy shows once they refused. I can provide the correspondence that you had with these photographers if you want to refresh your memory. That's a bit of a hint, isn't it, Angela? Apologise. Point 3, donation and licenses. You are absolutely wrong on the issue of the donation. A photographer can license a photo from literally anything he wants, be it a grain of sand, a donation to a charity, or $1 million. Your claim about the €500 is so incredibly wrong that I'm absolutely surprised you're making that statement. Point 3, free speech. You absolutely have freedom of speech. We're very similar. You absolutely have freedom of speech, but it recognises certain limits. Key among those limits is to falsely claim that someone else has committed a crime. You, Alyssa, and Jeremy quite openly accused me of committing the crime of extortion. Nobody is silencing your ability to express your opinion. I'm just reminding you that you, yes, even you, are unable to simply call other people criminals without facing consequences. Additionally true, you changed your previous messages because I had to remind you that you couldn't simply falsely accuse people of crimes. Just to be clear on this point, however, did you falsely accuse me of the crime of extortion and threats, and that is the reason why you removed those comments? Or do you stand by your previous accusations of calling me an extortionist? That's very important, right? Point 5, private correspondence. It's very difficult to understand how you consider that our email correspondence, which you forwarded to countless people, remains private. In any case, and although I give you props for referencing European lawyers' ethics, I am not your lawyer, nor was I acting in a professional capacity as an attorney at the time, so I am not sure which confidentiality you expected to have there. Regarding Thunderbolt Clothing, why Marta has given the terrible advice of being told that you would handle this situation, even though you clearly demonstrated not to understand how copyright works. Let me remind you that your first message was very, very clear on this regard, arguing that you and your sponsors had the right to use photos, something that is patently untrue. Do you think that you did Marta a favour by doing this? As the emails that have surfaced from you with other photographers show, it seems to be a pattern of behaviour regarding how you act with photographers who object to infringing use of their work. So I would assume that you knew exactly what you would do once Marta had told you that you would handle it. You knew that your actions could potentially backfire since you were making legally false statements to someone that you knew was an attorney, hoping to keep them quiet, and decided to proceed in that fashion anyway. The result? Marta is out of a job. Congratulations. 7, threats. I have received plenty of threats against my person, my family, my friends, and I hope that you will not tolerate and that you will actively pursue those who issued them. Because this is really important, Angela. I'm not responsible for what other people say and do. People watching this video now, don't go and harass Angela. There's no need. She's harassing herself enough. I hope that 2019 will find you and your family doing well. I sincerely hope, however, that your management skills will improve with time. As I mentioned in other places, I still think you're a very good singer fronting Arch Enemy. All the best. Fantastic response. And how better to close something like this. Angela, oh, just throw in the towel, hen. Just stop. You are a much better singer than you are a manager. You are a much better singer than you are a human being. Good luck with it, because again, you fucked it. And yeah, I really hope that this has ruined your Christmas, you absolute shitbag. So finally, just a huge thank you to these people over here, supporters on Patreon. They keep these videos coming to you. They allow me to do things like the Guitar Souls podcast, which I have asked Jay Salmeron if he would appear on, and he is actually really up for that. So fingers crossed that will happen in the near future. We'll get to talk to a photographer and an attorney on his thoughts on copyright law and how things have changed over the years and what it's like working professionally on this scene and how artists should be supporting each other, not trying to eat each other. So thank you guys for allowing things like that to happen. If you did enjoy this video, check me out on Patreon by clicking this button up here, subscribe by clicking this button down here, and you'll see 2 more videos, one here and one here. Thank you so much for all of the support, guys. Thank you so much, Jay Salmeron, for these fabulous series of emails and all of this drama. It's been very entertaining. I hope you guys are having fun with it. I will see you for another video soon. Laters.